the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very busy 3-hour program lined up today. Heavy with the guests. Thomas Gable, who was in charge of the Borgata in Atlantic City, on the show coming up in 30 minutes. He loves himself some college basketball. We'll get his thoughts on today's card, I should say, and some of the numbers that we're going to have on some of the marquee games tomorrow on the sport as well, the final regular season of the year for a lot of these conferences, and great guests lined up as well. I tweeted it out at Mitch Moss Radio earlier before the show started. We will get into what has happened so far today, Paulie, coming up in about 15 minutes, and set the scene for tonight, including something that is 11-0 in one conference tournament going back to last year. As a reminder, everything is available on the website at vsin.com/champweek for free. That goes until Selection Sunday. We highly encourage you to go check it out, give it a whirl, see what you think. If you've never been a VSiN Pro subscriber before, everything free this week. You get all the best bets from everybody on this network, 24/7 live video access, vsin.com/champweek. I wanted to run this by you because FanDuel is offering the odds to be the number one overall seed in the tournament. And Auburn is priced at minus 1,900. Duke earlier this morning was plus 950. They have since been cut down to 9-1. And Houston is at 60-1. Is there any way that the committee will fall for this? And I say fall for it with Duke, and I'll explain that coming up in a second. But where they would say, hey, look at this. They just ran through the ACC. They would have to win the ACC tournament and probably have Auburn lose right away, and that probably goes with a loss tomorrow against Alabama. Could they say, yep, you know what, Duke, they got to be the number one overall seed?
Yes, and head-to-head, too. Maybe they factor that in.
Does that factor in?
Maybe, yeah. That's the path. I don't think that's crazy.
So because Duke is number one in net rankings as we speak, Auburn's number 2, quad 1 wins, not even close. Auburn has 15, right. Duke has 6.
Yep. Auburn's can still tie the record with a win tomorrow.
Do you think 9-1 Duke number 1 overall seed is worth a sprinkle? I don't think Houston will get it.
No.
Even if they win out.
No.
Because I think these two teams will supersede the Cougars, in the committee's eyes anyway.
2 of the losses were to SEC teams in the non-conference as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Then they lost to the Aztecs. Yeah. I think it's worth pizza money. Yeah. The pass right there, now easier said than done, and Auburn's laying 7.5 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you see if they bounce back in the rivalry game, and we know what happened in the first meeting. But it has been chaos in the ACC going back. 4 straight years that 4 seed or worse has won it, and we know what happened with NC State. But I think they are laying too much tomorrow, though. I mean, this is everything for North Carolina.
I am very intrigued in North Carolina tomorrow.
It's 12.5.
That's the opening number.
Wow.
Too much. Touch high. I mean, Duke's blasting every single team in sight, right, not named Clemson.
Now, rivalry game, this is it. We hate each other. The Lucas thing could work in their favor, where it's that's another angle, too. I'll get to that in a second. But is it, okay, let's celebrate him. This is his final game. Let's win one for him. And then the fun starts afterwards, where it's just ridiculous with the calendar that you lose your top assistant who has to take over at Miami. And you can't do 2 jobs at the same time, and the portal's March 24th.
The timing.
Come on. If he's your defensive guru and they love him, you're exactly right. But that's something after they play North Carolina. But in any event, I mean, Carolina is the last team out, according to Lenardi. This is everything for them, and they got buried in the first game. So, yes, worth pizza money, a little bit of intrigue there. Don't think it'll cash, but if you want to give me something like that, why? Auburn can't lose? That can happen. Sure.
North Carolina's the last team out. They're currently minus 115 to make the tournament.
Mm-hmm. First 4 out. North Carolina, you're going to like this, Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska. Last 4 in. San Diego State, Indiana, Boise, and Xavier.
Whoa, okay. I like that. That's a good update.
Bad, yes.
And I'll tell you, so Indiana's minus 220. I don't know if I want to lay that number, even though Lenardi has them last 4 in. Ohio State's minus 185.
Their last 4 buys. So they're comfortably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you take a shot on either Oklahoma or Texas at plus 160 or plus 210 respectively to get in?
No, I agree with Pat Forty, who's on Monday. They've showed you time and time again who they are, right?
I'd rather rather than even betting that, just bet them to win a game outright on the money line.
Better than right.
And I know they play each other tomorrow, but
I think this is big too, that the committee they owe us a redo and a mulligan for the debacle last year. It goes back to, we're talking about Oklahoma and Texas, although Oklahoma has been competitive. Virginia down the stretch was terrible, and we're getting blown out on a regular basis.
That's right.
So what did they do? They put them in the play-in, and they got blown out and embarrassed and had a horrendous performance against an average Colorado State team. So I think that's there where they blew it. It should have been Indiana State, should have been St. John's. That's something can also factor in where it's you come in, you can't lose 6 of your last 8, and you've been buried in some of those games. That's Texas. Oklahoma continues to lose. I like your angle better, though.
Yeah,
but it's not enough there. Return.
Some really good games tomorrow, marquee games in the power conferences. Again, last weekend of the regular season for those. And you did mention Auburn's actually up to 8.5. The total is 178.5 against Alabama. You slid in Duke minus 12.5 against North Carolina. Kentucky plays at Missouri. Mizzou is a 5.5 point favorite, total 170.5. Is that too many points?
I don't think the total's high enough.
I can see, and by the way, like Kentucky on the road, I don't know.
Sure.
I can see Missouri getting whatever they want in that game.
How about Kansas only 2.5 at home to Arizona?
Oh, you said only?
Yeah? What do you think?
Oh, I can't touch Kansas with a 10-foot pole. You like them?
I'm surprised how low the spread is, considering they're a different team at home. But that's also back to how Arizona's power rated so high. And BYU is up to a 7 seed. I think they'll be better than that. But they've won 7 in a row, and the Holy War. Remember, Utah fired their coach. Utah catching 13.5. In a rivalry game like that, even though BYU's been outstanding, I think that's too much.
How is, again, you're saying that based on Lenardi's bracketology?
Yeah.
How on earth is BYU a 7 seed?
Can't be.
Come on.
No.
Let's get realistic here. They should be a 5 is much more realistic than a 7.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one. Others have him kind of in that same range. I think Bracket Matrix might overall, when you look at 115 different people who do this, the average seed is below a 6. So the 7, I think, is going to be the outlier there. But man, oh man, what do they have to do to get some more recognition here? The resume looks fantastic at this point.
Yes, it does.
And the recent play is great.
That's right. I think you're going to be right, and others are going to be right, that it's going to be more than a 5 than a 7. But getting the double bye in the quarters helps in the Big 12 tournament. Then you're probably going to play Iowa State again. Where are you at with Marquette?
I don't like them.
That starts today against. Remember, they were top 10.
I know.
But it goes back to, I'll take Patino here and the run that St. John's is on. And now Marquette just been stumbling around for 2 months.
I think Marquette is a fine basketball team, and that's all I can say about them. I don't trust them to make it. And by the way, like I will almost, well, it depends on the draw, obviously. I would be mildly surprised if Marquette even makes the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So anything beyond that, then I'm getting into like shocking territory to me. Elite 8, I don't think it's going to be in the cards. I think they're okay. That's pretty much it for them. So this is, I think, maybe the first time since we've been on the afternoon doing one of these blackjack drafts. So if you don't know about this, we did this all the time when we were on the morning show. New audience all the time here. If you're if you like to fire, like on betting on sports, if you like to play blackjack, if you like to really fire with slots, whatever it is, Circa has to be in your rotation if you're unaware of this, because they reach out to some of their biggest players throughout the year, and you will get invited to play in a blackjack tournament. And at the end of 3 days, there's a draft, and they do this for college basketball. They've done it for baseball post All-Star break. They do it for the NFL every single year. Every single person, then based on where they finish in the blackjack tournament, you will get a ticket on a team for a lot of money to place on one team to win the national title. We just finished rounds 2 and 3 right before the show. Jonathan Von Tobel is currently in 3rd place. That ticket is a $12,500 bet on any team that he wants if they're not taking first 2.
And not a good blackjack player.
Oh, I want to punch him in the face.
I know.
So I'd actually be in 3rd right now.
I played with him before. Just doesn't know basic strategy. But God bless him. You know, he had that ticket on Houston in the baseball and almost got there. And here he is, number 3. You're right. This is a big ticket. And I know a lot of these guys bet 10, 15, 20,000 a hand in blackjack, but there were 3 no-shows too.
How about
that?
this
is 20,000 up top. Just so you could say, okay, give me 20,000 on Auburn plus 350. Let's go.
There you go.
I have the number 1 pick, or I could step out and maybe take someone else, or Alabama or Florida or somebody like that. So what are you thinking here? You got one round left. You're in 5th.
Right. I was in 3rd going into that round. In 5th right now. Stormy Bonatomi is in 8th. So currently, in theory, she would get like a team in the top 2 seed line. Here's why I want to punch JVT. The last hand, he has a 13 versus a 6. I'm sitting there with a 15. The good doctor himself, Stephen Gephardt, he's sitting there with a 14. Clearly, and JVT has like 2,500 out. I think I had it 1,200 on the table. JVT says, hit me. And he pulls an 8. Of course, the dealer gets like a 19, so the doctor and I go bust. Otherwise, I'd be sitting in 3rd place ahead of him by a couple $100. God. But the wheels are in motion here.
Right. All right. Yeah. Atlanta Falcons?
There's one team that popped into my brain today. I'm like, maybe I consider them again. Long odds.
You never know, though, because you don't know what's going to happen at the top, and there always could be a surprise. Maybe the guy's a fan of a particular university.
Of course.
And they go in that direction. It's all the rage. It's all the talk. Everyone's talking about it throughout the world. Everything free here at VSiN with Championship Week. Get it free. Perfect example, Zach Cohen last night. Bam! Brunson gets hurt. He points it out. 2.5. Get on the Clippers right now. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits, and all the prop analyzers, everything up there. VSiN.com/championship week.
There is an angle that's 11-0 since last year's tournament. Find out which one it is next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Super heavy, obviously, today with college basketball, and we head across the country now as Thomas Gable pops on the program. He is the race and sportsbook director over at the Borgata in Atlantic City, and he is on the Progressive Guest line. Good afternoon, Thomas. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Doing well, guys. Doing well. It's a nice day whenever you can get daytime basketball on the East Coast. So we're enjoying it, and it only gets better from here.
How has the handle been so far for these smaller conferences that people, for the most part, don't pay attention into until right around this time of year?
It's been decent. I mean, I know probably as you said, most people don't pay attention to the SoCon and Missouri Valley and so forth, but we've taken some decent handle on these games, and obviously next week it just grows exponentially with the power conferences getting underway. But yeah, I mean, even the smaller conference tournaments, it's good, and especially when you get into the semifinals and finals, the casual bettor does start to get involved a little bit in those smaller conferences, at least in this market here. Once you get into like the semifinals and the finals.
Monday and Tuesday are great, and it's always been that way with 3, 4, 5 bids going out, and then the semis of the West Coast as well. I caught your appearance last week on the morning show on By the Books. VCU in action again. They've won 15 of 16. They've been an ATS machine. Are you going to lay it with VCU tonight at home against Dayton?
Love them, and I already did 8.5 this morning, and now you can find them 10. So I talked a little bit about them again this morning, and now they have Dayton here, and just everything that Ryan Odom has done this year has been tremendous. Great defensive squad, top 25 nationally. Now, what I will say, I don't think this is necessarily the conference tournament, the Atlantic 10 conference tournament is not going to be a cakewalk for them. This is a pretty good conference overall. They have some teams I think could potentially come in there and be a bid stealer. George Mason, St. Joe's, and even their opponent here, Dayton. I know at one point I had Dayton only power rated 1 point apart from VCU. That was probably back in mid-December, end of December. Since that time, Dayton has fallen off slightly, and VCU has obviously gotten better and stronger. So Dayton, they do have a above average offense, pretty average defense. They're going to have to be hitting their threes, though, to be able to stay up here with VCU. And I saw an interesting stat on Max Shulga, who's the senior guard for VCU. VCU outscores opponents by 25 points more per 100 possessions when he is on the floor compared to when he's not.
Oh,
That's
wow.
just an incredible stat for him, and the difference he makes for that squad. So, I mean, again, for the Rams, they're a team that I have power rated. They can absolutely play with the big boys in college basketball. I would not be surprised in the least bit if they could get into the Sweet 16. And I know you said you kind of gave them a comparison to a St. Mary's. I have probably VCU about a half point better than St. Mary's right now.
Ooh,
okay.
Excellent. Good breakdown as well. Let's go out here down the street, Orleans Arena, West Coast Conference. How about what'd you make Portland? They swept Pepperdine and beat them by 20 in both meetings. They're laying 1.5 tonight.
Yeah, I made this too. So be no play for me on this one. I think the number's probably right around where it should be there. And as you said, just coming off, I mean, they just beat Pepperdine by 20 there at the end of February. So, not a great defensive squad in the least bit by Portland. But, of course, Pepperdine has plenty of issues on their own. The later game there for the West Coast Conference, San Diego and Loyola Marymount actually made that 9.5. Loyola Marymount 9.5, and was able to lay 7.5 this morning with them. And San Diego's just one of those poor teams that's out there. And while you still can play against the poor teams in these conference tournaments, you have to take advantage of that and do it.
Yeah, by the way, Pepperdine now here at Circa Pick'em. Some money coming in on the waves against the Pilots in that game. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Thomas Gable, our guest. He is the man in charge of the race and sportsbook at the Borgata in Atlantic City. How about in the Summit League tonight? Did you think that the number here between North Dakota State and South Dakota was maybe a little bit too short?
Absolutely. I laid 2.5 this morning, and I make that game 5.5. I was jumped on North Dakota State there, and we actually in that one we've actually seen the total rise in that one, up 2 points from the opener. So, and North Dakota State, one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country, 39.6%. Third in college basketball, number threes per game. They're averaging about 12 per game. So between the shooting of North Dakota State and then the pace that South Dakota plays at, it's not surprising that the total has gone up. So South Dakota loves to get out and run and convert for fast break opportunities. And these two teams combined for a total of 180 in the first meeting. And then looks like about 160 a week and a half ago. So North Dakota State hung on for a 4-point victory in that one. But, yeah, I definitely like North Dakota State laying at 2.5 this morning. All
right, what else do you have your eyes on tonight? Is there anything on the Friday card?
This Purdue-Illinois game, it's interesting. We've been taking a lot of Purdue money already today. There hasn't been much movement there. It's been all recreational money coming in there, taking the 4.5 with Purdue on the road. And Illinois has been the thing that concerns me about Illinois, this was a team that I really liked, and then I know they dealt with a lot of injuries and even some illnesses there throughout the season, but that game against Duke, for whatever reason, obviously Duke is, one of, if not the best team in all of college basketball. I just did not like the effort that Illinois played with. It almost felt like they quit in that game, and it kind of turned me off to them and any shot that I thought that they may have to make some noise in March. They just obviously had the doors blown off, but it just seemed like they gave up in that one. So that's been a team that I just have kind of written off ever since that game.
Very good. Okay, so speaking of the Blue Devils, they play tomorrow against North Carolina on the road. Carolina playing much better basketball over the last 6-8 games or so. They open up 12.5. I'm looking on the screen right now. I see 10.5. Where did you make the number?
Yeah, I made it 12. Obviously, it's moving down there and Tar Heels money doing that. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get in front of Duke. I mean, we have players who just blindly bet Duke no matter what the number is at this point, week after week, and they've been cashing every time. It's so strong right now. I mean, I literally I make them 1.5 better than Auburn at this point, and I have them power rated the highest in the country. So it's hard to argue with what they've done. Yes, it's been a down year for the ACC, so you can certainly take that into account. But this Blue Devil squad has just been a wrecking ball lately, and I don't know. There's no way I would take any points there with North Carolina.
No, you won't? Okay. All right. Who do you have third? Is it Florida? If so, how many points are they behind Duke?
No, I actually have Houston third. I've loved this Houston team for years, and I think this is probably Kelvin Sampson's best shot at a national title, honestly, even from years past. I think they're just better offensively than they've been in previous years. Yes, obviously Jamal Shedd's gone and into the NBA, but they shoot the ball better from three this year. And Florida, listen, Florida's certainly right up there. There's not really many weaknesses when you look at that team overall. Maybe a little bit in their foul shooting is a little bit lacking. They're just over 71% from the line, and certainly come March and tournament time, foul shooting is something you definitely need to look at. And when you're playing close games, it could cost you. But that would be the only thing that I could even come close to saying is something that's a little bit off with Florida. They're just tremendous front court, back court, and everywhere in between.
All right, Thomas. Pleasure talking to you as always. It's the best time of year. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys. Good luck this weekend.
Back at you. There you go, Thomas Gable, race and sportsbook director at the Borgata in Atlantic City. He is awesome with the college hoops. Yeah, that North Dakota State, South Dakota game now is touching 4.5. Was what, 2.5 earlier today?
Yep.
Yeah, he made it 5.5.
Got a game in overtime here. Big South. Radford's up 1, 50 seconds left. They were laying 4. Belmont's pounding Illinois State 41-18 halftime.
Does that game die a slow death?
I think
it has super high total. I mean, they have 59 points combined right now. Are we going to have a sudden explosion late? Win some, lose some next, including something that went 9-0 last night. Paulie, details next.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
In this hour, a couple of bets I fancy tonight in the NBA, some player props. Jonathan Davis on the NHL, bottom of the hour, deadline is passed. And here, some UFC. We'll sprinkle in some National Hockey League as Lou Finicaro joins the program as he is on the Progressive Guest line. His write-ups are always available at vsin.com, free until Selection Sunday for everybody in the audience. Lou, good to talk to you as always. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me on such an action-packed weekend and all the other great guests. I'm tickled to share a few minutes with you.
Before we get to the main event, I want to begin here. Lightweight bout. Justin Gaethje has always been an entertaining fighter. You get your money's worth every time that he's going to be on a card. He is taking on Rafael Fiziev in this fight. Gaethje blasted him the first time they played. I thought it was kind of a mismatch, but Fiziev keeps taking money. He's now at minus 165 here at Circa. What do you think of this matchup?
In that first match, Fiziev was minus 220 or 225 at close, and Gaethje went out and I thought he dominated him as well, but yep. I rewatched the fight. Gaethje won, but he didn't beat the brakes off him like I thought.
Okay.
In this fight, the dynamic is that Gaethje's coming off the devastation that was Holloway, 11, 12 months ago, and Fiziev's overcoming a knee that he had to get fixed in his last fight and was preparing for a rematch with Gamrot, that last fighter he faced, when this short notice opportunity came. Gaethje's had the full camp. He says he's ready. He's 36. And that Holloway thing is affecting the marketplace, I believe. because Fiziev comes in, and they're always in shape, these guys. He had no problem making weight, and he's just a short little firecracker of a hand grenade type explosive fighter. This is going to be an awesome fight. Gaethje said in interviews that he's not going to be so patient because in that first fight, we thought Gaethje beat the brakes off of him because for the last round and a quarter, he did. So Gaethje says he's going to come out fast. Fiziev's ready to go. This is two Rams meeting on the side of the hill and blasting each other right in the center of the ring.
How about the main event, which Ankalaev was $2 and now he's $1.10 in that range? What are your thoughts on the main event of UFC 313?
I have been taught, Paul, that world-class grappling wrestling beats world-class BJJ. Now, Pereira has recently got his BJJ credentials, but he's a kickboxer, and he's the scariest champion today in the UFC. If he wins this fight, he eclipses John Jones. But he's been a media darling. He's been on every flight, been at every event, and I know he's taking Ankalaev seriously, but the UFC or Pereira or both have stiff-armed Ankalaev. Ankalaev, because he's a boring, wrestler, and he's not necessarily a knockout fighter, has been shelved and pushed into the corner for two reasons. Number one, he's not exciting. Number two, they're afraid that Pereira wasn't ready for him. Pereira assures everybody he's ready. Ankalaev, in the meantime, while Pereira's been out, sipping on soda pop and attending events, Ankalaev's been in a sweaty gym getting ready. And for those reasons, and the reasons especially that we can catch Ankalaev, who is surely the more well-rounded fighter, at this kind of a discount at a pick'em, I think I can't walk away from that advantage. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Ankalaev, even though Pereira is a media darling, and I love the guy. Mm-hmm. The Chama thing is great, but maybe it's getting a little too old.
All right, so you're getting creative with some of these other fights. How about the Bahamondes fight, $1.25, and also if you think he can finish Turner?
This is going to be a great fight. 2 6'3" guys that fight at 155 pounds. Turner is called the Tarantula, but he's a daddy long legs, and he cuts dynamic amounts of weight to make 155. He's a little bit of a bully. He likes to be the taller, longer guy. And in this fight, he's not going to be because Bahamondes is as tall and almost as long as he. And while Turner can use questionable IQ, or he employs questionable IQ at times, he also has shown a lack of cardio. And I think it's because he cuts so much weight to get that huge frame to 155. Bahamondes on the other side of it, all I got to say is the kid's a Mexican fighter. And that means, number one, he doesn't start fighting until he gets rung up. He's there all day, and you're not going to get rid of him. And the longer the fight goes, the more Bahamondes will gain momentum. And that's a terrible recipe, I think, for Jalen Turner. And for that reason, I like Bahamondes straight. I also like him inside the distance, which is usually voiced as a TKO, KO submission, or DQ. You can find that at a plus 200. I think that's a good way to go on a fight that's lined 1.5 as well.
All right. Lou Finicaro, our guest at Gam Lou on X on Progressive Guest Line. Follow the Money, Paulie and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Talking UFC 313. Also on the pay-per-view card, Lemos plus 125. A small dog. You got some bite here?
I think so. Lemos 37 years old, and that's where she's getting some of her tarnish by the market. She's lost some world-class fights to skilled women that are very well-rounded. The young lady she's fighting, Lucindo, is a skilled, well-rounded fighter, but she's 22, just 23, and she doesn't display yet or exude the world-class skills that the people that Lemos has been in with. She's been in with the best. This is a PhD in MMA fight. Lucindo is the long-term fighter with a much better future. But in this fight, I think Lemos, the old grizzled bear, at 115 pounds, if you will, is going to give the young gal her PhD. I like Lemos here as an underdog. By the way, Lemos open -150.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. Well, another lightweight match here. Typically, you come on, you like to give out like at least one bomb. Is that what you're going to do here with King as he takes on Ruffy? Or are you going to go, some other creative way to get it on the side of Ruffy here?
Yeah, no, I have Ruffy parlayed from some time ago into back fights. Bobby King Green can be a very interesting match for Ruffy because of his experience, his footwork, and his ability to evade punches. But I think ultimately Ruffy and his team, they have created a set of about 15 fighters in that gym that are all killers. There's another one on the card tonight named Liao, and I think they both show very well.
What is your reaction? And we're talking to Lou Finocchiaro here on the Progressive Guest Line. That's all your bets, by the way, in the UFC, correct?
2 more.
I have one more I'd like to discuss on the lower card. There's Francis Marshall fighting a young Brazilian named Santos. Santos is in his sophomore fight in the UFC, and his first fight wasn't that strong. The young man Marshall has had a handful of fights and decent results, and he's fought a good level of competition. I think this is too early for Santos to be priced this high. This is out of whack, and so a little taste on Marshall straight is a good idea. However, the points handicap, which you can find at DraftKings, Marshall plus 3.5 points is plus 100. This fight is lined 2.5 rounds in a 3-round fight over -210. I think Marshall shows up, he takes it to decision, and either wins the decision or loses a tight decision. But I think we got a live one in Francis Marshall.
All right, very good. You also love yourself some National Hockey League. What is your reaction when I tell you that Brad Marchand has been traded from the Bruins to the Florida Panthers?
I had heard some kind of wisp of that, and I knew it couldn't be true. There was no way. And when you told me it actually happened, almost knocked me off my chair. I'm having a real tough time formulating opinions in that East right now, but that's going to help formulate an opinion. Holy mackerel.
Do they vault to the top? Are they the number one team, you think? Are they ahead of Carolina?
I think they're a top 3 team right now, and all you got to do is get in the tournament. And they've already displayed Florida that they can win the thing. They play from the goal out. Their goaltender's really a strong goaltender, and you can throw a few teams out. I think you got to worry about maybe a team like the Devils, who were just recently rung up with an unfortunate injury. Maybe the Rangers, if they can get there. But I don't believe in Carolina, as talented as they are. Every year they seem to get there and just squeeze a little bit too tight. And I hate to say it because I love Brind'Amour, but I think that's a reflection on him just a little bit.
Toronto's only 2 back of Florida.
I'm not a believer in Toronto. I don't believe they can play successful playoff hockey as good as they are in the regular season, because I regard those as 2 very different brands of hockey.
Who beats Edmonton in the West?
I think it's going to be the Knights, maybe Colorado. But I don't believe in Dallas or any of the other Flyer teams. But someone's going to beat Edmonton in the West. And I don't know why it wouldn't be the Knights. I think after last year and what I'm seeing right now, I think their price in 2 weeks is very different than what we're looking at right now.
Oh, very good. You can follow Lou on X. He's at GamLou, the About Business podcast, and you can always read his write-ups at vsin.com on the UFC. Lou, excellent appearance as always. Thanks for the time. Go get him this weekend.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of the show. You're killing it.
Thank you.
Good job, Lou.
And he was on the Progressive Guest Line.
Good mix with the UFC cards.
Yep.
A lot of picks there. All right. I was shocked by Boston with the fire sale. Incredible.
No kidding.
Wow. Well, how about Winnipeg? I mean, if Edmonton can't get it done.
You didn't even mention them.
I know, 90 points. I'm playing against them tonight, but they've had a hell of a year.
Up next, we will get into tonight's NBA card. I firmly believe that we have at least one really strong angle with 3-point props tonight. I'll share them with you next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
The deadline is come and gone, trade deadline day in the National Hockey League. This guy does a great job every day throughout the entire season on vsin.com.
All the picks.
He is our NHL betting expert. He's on the Progressive Guest line. And by the way, it's free for everybody until Selection Sunday, vsin.com/Champ Week. You can read it there. Jonathan Davis, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. It was one heck of a day today.
Okay, so we were talking about this during the break. Which trade really caught you by surprise the most? Go ahead, take it away, because I don't know which one it was.
Well, I mean, look, the Carolina Mikko Rantanen trade, that was the biggest trade, that's been talked about ever since he got to Carolina. So he goes to the Dallas Stars today. I mean, what a kick of the shorts that is for his former team, the Colorado Avalanche, who they could play in the first round of the playoffs, and signs a deal that pretty much the Avalanche were offering him when he was still there. But if you're Carolina, you lose Rantanen, you traded Martin Necas and another player, Jack Drury, to get Rantanen. And so now all those three guys are off your roster. You bring back Logan Stankoven from Dallas, good hockey player, rookie of the year candidate before the year started, but he's 5'0". And I'm sorry, I know you get 2 first-round draft picks. To me, that's a fireable offense. You can't let a guy who's a 100-point player get away and not get someone of any significance on your roster. The deal was just a bad deal with Colorado to begin with. Think about it. Think about, I don't know, take an NBA star that gets traded twice within a month in the same season. That's unheard of.
How about what Boston did?
Yeah, I mean, Paulie, the Boston Bruins, I heard Elliot Friedman say on the Sportsnet broadcast today, by his count, they have 5 players left on their roster from 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's an absolute fire sale. You trade your captain, Brad Marchand. You trade Brandon Carlo to Toronto. You trade Charlie Coyle to the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, look, this is a total rebuild now, tear down for the Boston Bruins. An original 6 franchise, and you trade Marchand to the Florida Panthers of all teams.
Yeah.
One of your bitter rivals. If you're going to play Florida, if it's Tampa and Florida round 1, Toronto, Florida round 1, whoever faces Florida, bring your brass knuckles, because they could have a line of Tkachuk, Bennett, and Marchand.
Yeah,
that's going to be nasty.
Mm-hmm. So
so what's your pecking order right now in that conference?
Pecking order, I think it's 1-2 between Tampa and Florida. I hope they don't have to face. I hope, that one of them, that Toronto doesn't find a way to finish first. But I think, to me, they're still the best team. It's remarkable to me that, you look at the odds to win the cup. I mean, the Washington Capitals are about 6th on the betting line there, and they're first overall. But I love what Tampa did. The day before the deadline. They've really bolstered their team. Andrei Vasilevsky looks like vintage Vasilevsky, and Florida got really deep with you add Marchand, you add Seth Jones, and they're poised to make another cup run.
How much trouble's New Jersey in with losing Hughes, and what can you find on them to miss the playoffs?
I got them at 8-1 to miss. Now that was about 3 or 4 days ago. I didn't go back and check again. I think it's a big concern. You lose Hughes, done for the year. Dougie Hamilton got hurt 2 days ago. He's day-to-day. They didn't go out to bring in any reinforcements. It's a big concern for New Jersey, for sure. They're really in for it. No, by the way, just to go back to Carolina, I would be betting against. They've got Winnipeg and Tampa as their next 2 games. I'd be going against Carolina the next 2 games. Feel really bad for Rod Brindamore, their head coach. He's going to really have to do a major coaching job to get these guys focused.
Okay, well, I want to tie in then a team you mentioned there, and then the Devils, because they play tonight. Jets are laying a small number on the road here. They finally won after a 3-game losing streak, and they were red hot before that. But is this a number worth playing tonight with Winnipeg?
Yeah, I like the price. I know it opened up minus 110 both ways before today, and yep. I think, I don't know, is it minus 125, 130? Shop around, but yeah, take Winnipeg tonight. I just don't see how New Jersey has anything left. It's a really good matchup. I thought yesterday's price against Philadelphia was way too low, and it was all based on the fact that Winnipeg had been stumbling of late.
Can Dallas catch them in the division?
Yes, I believe so. Their schedule is favorable. The deal that they made surely helps them. I do like, Winnipeg added some more grit to their lineup. But I think Dallas can definitely catch the Winnipeg Jets.
What else caught your eye today? Anything major? I mean, those two things that we just talked about were absolutely like gigantic in terms of news-making trades, obviously. But anything else happened that was good?
Well, I think Toronto helped themselves out. They got themselves, Brandon Carlo's a very rugged defenseman. They needed that. They added some depth down the middle. The deals that Colorado made, yesterday to get Brock Nelson from the Islanders and Charlie Coyle today from Boston. I mean, they're as deep down the middle as any team in the NHL. They added to their blue line. They look really good. Like if you get Dallas and Colorado round one, I mean, that's a real flip a coin on who wins there. Other teams that I thought did well. I mean, not enough to necessarily move the meter for me. I mean, look, Vegas didn't. I thought Vegas was going to do something. They were trolling everybody on Twitter. They tweeted out high, and that trying to get people to think they were going to do something. They didn't, but they're still really good. I think the Edmonton Oilers were a bit of a disappointment. They added Jake Waldman to their blue line, but they're in such cap hell that it's dollar in, dollar out for them. There was thought they may add, improve their goalie situation. They didn't. They just don't have the money to move, and there was some thought that they could move Evander Kane, but the Oilers came out today and said Kane's done for the rest of the regular season. Maybe they get him back in the playoffs.
Excellent.
Okay.
Very good. One more. Columbus, and you've been great with this, and again, check them out every day at vsin.com. Columbus got shut out yesterday. So what's that angle in the next game that they play that's been so good, if you can tell our audience?
Yeah, so the angle is to play the first, after a team has been shut out, the next game, play the first period over and a goal in the first 10. The goal in the first 10 is hitting, I think it's like 74 and 36, and the first period over is right there with it. My favorite one, though, that I recently jumped onto was when you've got a favorite that is minus 400 or more, play the dog to score in the first period. 16-4 this year.
16-4 for the dog to score in the first period. Interesting. What are the typical prices on something like that?
Well, last night I got San Jose at even money. Yeah, I mean, it's usually not more than minus 110, but usually you're getting plus money on it.
Okay, so they're dropping the puck not too long from right now. In fact, 7:07 p.m. Eastern time, 4:07 out here on the West Coast. Exactly 30 minutes from right now. Ovechkin, his current price to score a goal tonight is plus 105. Is that, I know, is that worth a bet or no?
I mean, for me, I play Ovechkin every night to score a goal, every night for the last goal of the game. Mitch, I text you guys after I bad beat, when Wilson got the overtime goal, cost me. But yeah, I would keep playing Ovechkin anytime goal, last goal, because he's going to be on the ice whether they're up or down a goal. He's either there to tie it or score the empty netter. And then I keep, you were talking about ladder props in the last segment, Mitch. I would be, over 3.5 is where he's at. It's now gone up to about minus 140, but I'm still playing that. And then a smaller play on over 4.5. I think he's hit the over. He's had 5 shots in, I think it's 4 of his last 6 games.
Yeah. How's that defenseman doing? What's his name? Lacombe? Is he still on like a
Jackson Lacombe?
Yeah, is he still on like a 14-1 overrun, shots on goal?
He was really good, but he's been taken off the power play in Anaheim, so I have to kind of lay off of him for a bit. The other ones, though, for points is oh my God, now my mind's gone to mush because there's been a couple of guys. Shane Wright for Seattle's like a point in 15 of 17 games. You're still getting him at ridiculous plus money. Nick Suzuki in Montreal's been like over 1.5 shots on goal, and you're still getting him at plus money. Those are a couple that come to mind. Thomas Harley of the Dallas Stars. Play him for over half an assist. That's been at like a plus 140. And with Miro Heiskanen, their number one defenseman out, Harley has been a stud, continued his run since playing for Canada at the Four Nations.
Very good. 30 seconds here. If you had to bet an exacta right now, just to meet in the Stanley Cup final, it would be who?
Exacta to meet in the Cup final. I'll take. I'm going to go Tampa, and I'm going to go Dallas.
Tampa, Dallas. Okay, very good.
Oh, Bettman's at Hoover Dam. Oh, God. Oh.
Hey, Jonathan, you do a great job every single day on the website.
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me.
Good luck tonight and this weekend, okay?
All right, you too, guys. Take care.
There you go. Jonathan Davis on the Progressive Guest Line. You can read all of the stuff for free. Everything is free on the website, vsin.com/champ week until Selection Sunday. In Pocket Plays, what we are betting tonight next here on VSiN.